All right, we are ready to go. Episode 13.
Lucky 13.
Uh-huh.
All right, so we're going to start with a poem. The poem's entitled A Way Through to Forgive You. You hurt me today, but I don't know you. Never felt such, never felt shocked this way with such pain coming through. Had to sit down and take a minute or two. It's all over town, so it has to be true. Why'd you pick them? What did they do to cause such a problem, to wreck our worldview? Well, now that we know, what do we do? These embers still glow, risking a burn through. I want to hate you and our leaders who knew, but that doesn't sit right, even for your crew. I'm praying for insight to know what to do. I need a salve for my heart and maybe a cue to where I can start to see my way through. But I know only one way that'll give us the glue to release our hate and say that I forgive you.
That's good. That's the only way we make it through this is
Mm-hmm.
forgiveness. Mm-hmm. Ourselves, everybody else.
Yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
people. This one is to the people we don't know,
Mm-hmm.
which we're going to find out who they are, but we still aren't going to know them.
Mm-mm.
Instead of holding on to our hate and pain. So, all right, the next one is entitled A Will of Our Reawakening. Do you have a skill you're really good at? I mean, something exceptionally good at, like hands down, over the top, miraculously good at. Something that you lose yourself to and time just flies by. Well, if you do, get ready for more of it and more time to do it and increasing numbers of people wanting you to do it. If you don't, then cinch up those britches and imagine you do, because it's coming. What is that thing you always wished you could do? Singing, playing guitar or piano, painting, drawing, wood carving, dancing, writing, you name it, and it will almost fall into your lap. This is the kind of thing that when you're not doing it, you wish you were. But even then, the anticipation of getting to do it again makes you giddy. Why will this happen? So you can experience that feeling of purpose and that everything is right in the world. We have been suppressed in this world for so long in base living that the energy centers that we are have stored up all this potential and they won't be kept down and tied down much longer. And now that the reins to our power are being released, our world of art is going to go out of its way to partner with our potential to start liberating our latent abilities. It's what we always wanted this world to be for us so that we could experience and explore it under the most favorable of circumstances. But we couldn't pass up the opportunity to experience it under unfavorable conditions so that when the favorable conditions started, the taste of the experience would be so much sweeter. The issue for us now is letting go of the unfavorable situation we've been in for so long so that we can begin exploring beyond our suppression and into the more favorable surroundings this world has to offer. We are now holding on to that unfavorable situation by the barest of fingertips. But when it goes, the shock to our system will reverberate for years while we adjust to our regained fortunes. There will be some discomfort for many initially, as the old system is turned upside down and all the crap long stuck under and between the cushions come falling out. But that's why you're here, as early adopters, to show the way past all the falling crud and into the light of a brightening theme park with all of its potential joy and wonder. The task you set yourself to do here isn't to get stuck in the crud and the whirlwind of change, but to embrace that change and begin showing the disgruntled by doing what they won't allow themselves to do yet. This is one of the biggest perks of your role. You get to go first to enjoy the fruit in the land of plenty. They won't take a bite of that apple first. They've bought too much into the apple or into the hype that it's forbidden. So we go to prepare a place for those who are too imprisoned by their own beliefs and limits. We are the ones who will take that first bite of the apple to show it is not a poison from which we'll die, but it is the knowledge and acceptance of our tree of life for which we'll live. This is our world of art. Every single one of us has an ownership stake in its direction and upkeep. How you exercise that ownership is your choice, but I believe your will is the deciding factor, and it will insist you rise and shine for greater and greater experiences. To help get us out of our bed of cloistered comfort, our wills have prepared skills and abilities, each to our own liking, that will miraculously appear in us when you and the people need it to get our species on the move. That time is now for the grand unveiling, and you will be both a witness and an experiencer of our reawakening. Hold on to your hat, Dorothy. Okay, Dottie. We won't be in Kansas anymore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What's happening? The winds of change.
I was just about to say that you can feel the winds of change.
Let me show you the card I pulled right before we
And
started.
that's also the song I played.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
a Scorpion song, Winds of Change.
Oh, snap.
That's the card I pulled right before right before we started. Wow. Cool.
Yep. All right. The next section is entitled, There Will Be Sunshine as It Rains. Many will be caught up as the rains begin to pour, becoming sodden and downtrodden, some even flailing against their would-be rescuers. Most will not allow themselves to be dragged from their self-perpetuating misery of complaint, for they must decide when to step out of the drenching of their cleansing. We, the beacons of the light, will gather ourselves into rays of illumination to begin singing in chorus the end's beginning of that rain. This, in no way, ensures you won't get wet, but a little singing in the rain will do wonders for our soul. Courage to do so will cascade our willingness to forgive the rain for our pain and open a sanctuary of love and healing. Something inside you stirs within the heart of your imagination of being a rebel to the rain and an usher to our haven. That is the calling of your will, the maker of your joy, and the illumination of your brilliance. You but have to rise and shine your brilliance to accept the joy of your will's calling so that we all can begin our own reign. It is now time for us to gather together, we beacons, and unite our luminescence into our song's chorus of forgiveness and healing. This singing in their reign will show the way to our reign of sunshine and new perspectives of joy.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
I strangled myself.
Well, don't do that.
All right.
Drink some tea. All right, so I got the last section.
Wow.
It's going, it's moving.
It's flowing.
This one's a
Little bit longer.
little bit longer. All right, here we go. This one's entitled, Settling In to the Confidence of My Flight Manifest. We have entered a nexus, you and I. We have entered a time of the choosing. In this nexus, you are being offered a choice of futures. Each one of us has this choice, and it will determine your experience going forward. The old storyline is rapidly fading. Even if our seclusion ended tomorrow, none of us could go back to the way things were. It does not exist. So, what will your view of this world look like when you emerge from your seclusion? That depends on whose narrative you choose to believe in. This world is going to serve you up whatever it is that will buy your energy. In this nexus we're in, many narratives will be offered to you, all vying for that energy. Anything you can imagine will be available. Our issue is that we won't allow ourselves to believe in most of them, relegating ourselves to just a few believable options. I've decided to play hardball and not settle, but those are my house plans, so you'll have to choose your own. I realize I've been documenting my choice in this manifesto, and once the big story about the operations breaks to the public, my manifesto goes into full effect. I acknowledge that it is a work in progress, but that is the nature of life. I have enough of the concepts described to put in my order through my heart right to my benefactor, Benny. He and I are now on first name basis because I have accepted that his will is my will. This manifesto could only have come from him and my will partnering to offer it to me for my acceptance, and I wholeheartedly accept. There is nothing in it to complain about. It has all the building blocks to a perspective experience of a world I want to live in. Based on my current level of internal development, it is my Goldilocks plan, not too specific to confine me, and not too broad that I can't imagine it. Not too hot, not too cold, just right. And why am I designating the big breaking story as my implementation date? Because that is when this world goes sideways and marks when my input mode will be at its most open position for my jump to expanded living. I know I can't stay here in this old storyline because it's fading away quickly. And instead of waiting for this world to serve me up another one, I'm choosing one of my own making. Well, technically, my will offered it and I accepted. Tomato, tomato. As I stipulated earlier in this manifesto, I put no demands on you and your choice, and I accept none from you. But if you want to join me, you're more than welcome to do so. However, there is a stipulation for that, just as there is for me. We have to believe in it more than any other choice. So much so that we know it as our selection. If you choose any other option, no worries. I know that to be your choice. But if you do select the one I'm selecting, you should know I don't own it. We become its custodians together. My role thus far has been as a conduit to offer it to you. I'm even leaving this manifesto and the videos in this fading view of the world for anyone who wishes to join me at a later date. But they will no longer continue to be produced in this fading worldview after the big story breaks. I won't be here to produce them. The good news, at least I think so, is that if you still see us doing videos after the story breaks, then you've taken me up on my offer. I know, it's a bit to wrap your head around, but after the story breaks, you'll either understand better or you will be caught up in a completely new perspective. So, what does my, or possibly our, new view of the world look and feel like once that goes into effect? Well, this manifesto spells some of that out. The big thing to notice is that view of the world is full of sovereign beings who are living the life of expanded living. The specifics are left to each person, but my samples so far provide some possibilities. You can be sure there will be conscious manifestation, and most especially, blooping and poofing. But that will be up to each person, seeing as they will be in charge of their own experience. I haven't yet decided on my role. I'd be surprised if it doesn't involve some weaving, seeing as everyone there will be doing it. I think I'm leaving my options open so I can look around and get a feel for the place before I decide. That's one of the best things about that view of the world. There are so many options. Between now and then, my current view of this world will keep offering me other choices, all the way up into the moment I implement this manifesto. That's just my current perspective asking me if I'm sure, while I build up my intent to my selection. These words are my growing intent, and when my catalyst arrives, I will make my decision by expending my energy on my intent. I could have done it any time while writing this manifesto, but something inside urged me to stay and offer this option to you. This is my walking the talk about being a beacon on the hill. And yes, I know how that sounds, but you will do the same for others. You just may not know it yet. When you are ready to know, you will begin rising and shining the brilliance of your beacon. For now, you are considering your option, and that is the wisdom of your experience. But any day now, we are all going to realize that our current perspectives are too limiting, too confining, and are being used by our will to move, or we're left with settling with whatever our world serves up. Your will won't make your decision for you, but it will continue to offer its guidance, whether you rise to its calling or select an unguided option. I'm going with my guided path since I know my faculties are more geared towards experiencing whatever view I'm in at the time, and less focused on being my own guide. That, however, will begin to change in expanded living, where my capacity to both experience and provide my own guidance will expand as I take on more trust of my will. I'm not quite there yet, but I am more than aware of it as I sense the suck or pull of it. I'm also noticing more and more surfers, if not yet repositioning for the coming wave, they're at least sensing the same suck of the wave and are talking amongst themselves about something brewing. I won't ask them to go first. That isn't my way. So I'm repositioning now because I know this is the one. As the others sense the go firsters reposition, that will be their cue to move. But I can't pay attention to their positioning because we're all reading the incoming wave differently, each according to our own perspective. I have to trust my read, my will, to guide me to my optimal orientation of my intent, to carry me from the trough I'm in to the crest of my coming maker of joy. And I share this option with you, the other surfers, for you to decide to position accordingly and pass it along to still other surfers or do whatever you will. This isn't about who goes first, but including as many surfers in the joyride as we can. For a later wave, you may opt to go first and share that option with me. Because that's the kind of world I want to live to experience. We surfers pulling our will to collaborate on maximizing the joy to the many. So, let me be blunt and pull this together. Our world, or our view of it, is getting ready to get rocked. This unveiling will signal the end to our old perspectives and an entering into a nexus of narrative choices. This nexus is not a permanent place of residence, but a staging platform of connecting flights. People will be talking all over this world about what is happening, but what they really will be doing is deciding on which flight they will be taking out of that nexus, and there will be many different flights to choose from. I will leave them for their deliberations because that is their right to choose. I've already selected my flight and documented its manifest for all to see as they wish, and I'm leaving it here for their consideration after I board my flight. To do anything further for them would be me giving them my solution for their problems. They will then have their own decisions to make, while this manifesto will stand in my stead in offering my option among many, or offering one option among many, as I go on to build out my view, my new view, in preparation for those who choose to ride that wave or a succeeding one. My preparations for leaving are just repositioning for the upcoming ride and consist mainly of letting go of this view. I've already released everyone I care about to make their own decisions free of my wishes. I will miss them, but my love for them will not hold them against their will. Plus, I have faith and hope booked on my flight, and they are great company. Now I will settle into my seat as I board my flight and relish the feeling of confidence I have in my flight manifest. Oh, wait, hold up though. What are you guys doing? Have you booked your flight yet? No? Okay, that's cool. You still have some time to consider your options while the suck is forming. Just curious though, have you checked in with your will? He or she should be sending you a wake-up call any day now, but you don't have to wait for that. You can do a gut check-in anytime. You may or may not realize, but every one of us has prescient abilities to feel what's coming. It's one of the many ways our will communicates to us. If you trust your gut, then you know what I'm talking about. If not, well, that's part of the experience too. In any event, enjoy the last days of the Stooge reign. Their lackeys will be on full display. So, bon voyage.
I was envisioning a big place with all kinds of different terminals or different gateways, and everybody deciding which one they're going to go through.
And I think I described one to you in Dream.
Yeah, the tree. Mm-hmm.
The tree.
The tree leaves.
No.
No.
The nexus.
Oh. Yeah. I was thinking
all the portals in and out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. I was thinking about, they're sitting there and deciding which direction they're going to go, and are they looking to each other to see which one everybody else is going to take? Are they looking themselves as to which one they're going to take, and and that kind of decision point of how do you move forward from this? Because like you said, I mean, what we have after this is not going to be the same. I mean, we all talk about it. You hear people saying those words now, but I don't think it's totally sunk in to people that we are not going ever going back to the world we were, a month ago.
Most people won't until something shocks them out of shocks them into realizing, oh wow, we can never go back because it doesn't exist anymore. Right. That world, if they ended the seclusion today and we were allowed to go outside our doors,
it's still not going to go back.
Right.
Too many things have changed. You realize businesses, many of them have been shut down for over 3 weeks.
Yeah, with loss of revenue, loss of customers, loss of, it is not going to go back to the way it was.
Yeah.
And I think for some it feels very overwhelming, and it's like any major change that we keep holding on to, that eventually once it is removed and you do the healing, you realize, what freedom you have to move forward and do things new. But in that process of letting go, yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Be a grieving period.
Hmm.
It's just like, it's like when I first had Elizabeth, my first child, like I was so happy and it's excited, but the person I was before that was dead, gone. You know, and I had to like come to terms with that. And it was like a shedding, and it was really sad. It was a very complex emotional situation, you know, when you're going through that. So I feel like that's similar.
Hmm. Yeah, I had the similar to what they called the baby blues, but it was that
Mhm.
that whole the day I put him in the car seat to bring him home, and all of a sudden everything landed on me. It's like, oh man, I mean, it was just
Yeah.
all of a sudden reality set in.
Yeah. Life as we knew it before is not this, never going to be like that. Yeah.
Exactly, even though it's something I completely wanted, but
Hmm.
reality set in. And this same thing, even though there's those of us that are really don't like what's happened and we're still, the reality is going to hit us that, oh wow, yeah, we're
Hmm.
not going to be
Well,
there. So you can take it creatively and say, okay, we're free to go, or you can.
Yeah.
you're giving birth again.
Yes, we are.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people are going to be shocked about giving birth.
We were joking about that. It's true. Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
physically and emotionally and energetically. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
But one sure way, I mean, what was it? It was in a movie. I think it was The Hunt for Red October. Um, mentioned about Cortez, the explorer. When he got to the New World, he burned his bridges, burned his ships. That way, sending a signal to all the people that were on the boat that there's no going back. We're here to stay.
Yeah.
It took away all the doubt, the arguing, the negotiation of, okay, who's going to take one of the boats and leave, and it took out
I
all
wouldn't have burned
that.
the bridge. I wouldn't have burned the boats. I would have started dismantling them and use the wood. But yeah, there is no going back. There's nothing to go back to. It's even whatever is still there is going to be quickly fading.
Hmm.
It's not going to have anything to stand on. The foundation under it, it will have been um, rocked too much, and it will be crumbling.
Hmm.
For us, it's only really been a month, and you can already see. And if it goes another, or when it goes another month or 2 or 3 weeks or whatever, it's just going to get exponential from there. The changes that we see.
Well, that's if that's all we had to deal with,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not going to be all we have to deal with.
Mm-mm.
We thought learning about people getting sick and whatnot, even though most of us don't know anyone who is, but it's just being under that umbrella
Mm-hmm.
of this, and we all basically have to seclude ourselves
Yeah.
because of what's being reported.
Right.
But
It's also a good way. It's a good way though for people to, instead of watching what everyone else is going to do, having to go and deal with their own thing, like instead of having to follow that crowd, it's like eliminating that clickiness to where they kind of have to figure it out for their own family and their own situation instead of following everybody else.
yeah, but what I was saying is that's not all that's going to be happening.
No.
Yeah.
This other bigger thing is going to be dropped right in the middle of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be even bigger than because right now for the most part, people are relatively calm about this. I
Right.
understand that there are pockets here and there that are not so calm, but for the most part, people have secluded.
Mm-hmm.
And oh yes, there's kind of runs on toilet paper and all that. That's a double meaning there. But other than that, it's mostly calm. Well, what's coming is not going to allow for just calm.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Not initially.
Very interesting.
So
There'll be a lot of layers to it too.
yes,
I mean, as it comes down into because the people realizing that they were almost active participants that they didn't realize they were doing.
Right.
So it's going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And right now, the ones who had what they considered a successful life in this soul system, even if it wasn't perfect, they're going to have to release that grieving in a way, because they're in their mind losing that, even though it wasn't in a system that was good overall. They might have viewed it as not good. They still
Right.
were okay. And so, yeah, it's layers. Like you said, it's layers and layers that are going to unfold.
Well, even people that say they thought this life sucked, for them
Exactly.
are still, I
Yeah.
mean, they still are latched onto it.
Mhm.
And so everyone, it doesn't matter how successful you think your life was, or how unsuccessful, everyone it was locked into something that
Mhm.
kept them in place. And
Yeah.
now everyone is going to have to address that, because there isn't that hulk of that ship is headed for the bottom, the
Yeah.
ocean bottom of history.
Like you said, yeah. Yeah. Well, the other thing too that came to me was people are really getting to know themselves, because if they're home and secluded, there's no one else to blame for their bad day or their frustration.
Right.
Like you can always blame it on your coworker,
No, that's
or
what
your
kids are for.
customers,
Yeah.
whatever. Now it's like, if you're cranky, look in the mirror.
No, that's what kids and pets are for.
Yeah, we had that conversation.
I had a customer today, an older man, and he was like, "Oh, this is terrible. I'm just bored." I was like, "I can send my kids over to your house if you want me to." He's like, "Oh yeah, no, I don't have kids." So I was like, "Well, see."
Well, then you've got time and space for them.
I saw this post and it said all the animals in the country can't wait till all the adults get back to work.
Well, I like the one you said about the waking up.
Oh yeah, it says I was late this morning.
No.
And it said I overslept.
I overslept.
I was late getting to the living room.
I overslept this morning. I was late getting to the living room. It's just
Yeah, or what am I gonna wear to the couch today?
exactly.
Exactly.
I mean, we're laughing and making light of it, but there are people who are stressing out about not being able to go to work.
Yeah, there are a lot of people. It's part of the grieving process, because that was their identity, that was their, routine, and
Wow.
absolutely.
Well, my ADD has prepared me for this. I've got so many books that I've half read. I've got, so many things I've half done. I've got all kinds of things I could do. The Wi-Fi goes out. I've got stuff for days.
I was thinking that today. I thought, wow, I've been here for these weeks and I still have all these projects that I haven't finished.
Yeah, I've had writing to do. I mean, how many books was I reading a week?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know. Well, it depends on how many pages. How many pages were you reading?
Well, those 2,000-page books, I was knocking those out maybe once a week.
One a week, yeah. Yeah.
So, but ever since this writing has started, I haven't been reading. That's all I do is write.
Mm-hmm.
I tried reading once because I was feeling like I was kind of blocked for about a couple hours. So I started reading and it put me to sleep.
Yeah, Annie, Deshawn, and Terry were like, "Hey,
Hey, what are you doing? What's that right there? What's that right there? Yeah, what's that word? Hey, can you want me to look that word up for you?" And that was Ann. No, that was Annie. No, that was Terry. Terry and Deshawn.
Cool. Well, we'll see where this goes. It's interesting that the flow of this is, I mean, we're doing 3 of these a week now, and it's just coming like every day.
Yeah, I don't know about, I mean, we'll shoot for Saturday, but that's
Tentative.
Passover. That's Passover.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
not that I don't care if it's Passover or Easter, but
Might be interesting energy.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's I don't know what the exact timing of some things that are coming, but I know it's centered around Easter.
Yeah,
And it could be 1 day, 2 days, 3 days before, and it could go through Easter, and then it could trail Easter by a day or 2 or 3. I don't know how that's going to shake all out, but it's centered around Easter.
Yeah, and you get the energies there, right? For
The
it.
energies, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know the timing. I don't, and I'm looking at the energies.
I'll be out there with my Easter bunny. He came to visit me today. So, yeah.
So
Awesome. Are we complete?
I think so.
We're complete. Yeah.
Feels good.
Bye, everybody.